Hey guys, this is Ash and you're watching WriterGAsh. So today I'm doing a book talk on King of Scars, which I finished at like 4 a.m. last night after reading it for nearly all of this month. So today is May 20th and I'm pretty sure I started reading it right after my finals, which ended on like the 4th or the 5th. And I'm finally done with it. I mean, I barely read anything until like the 15th, so it only took technically 5 days. Anyway, that's besides the point. So it was a really tough start for me. About 50% of the way in, the book clicked. And I really enjoyed everything after that point. I was this book has 3 different storylines going on, 2 or 3 if you like. It could be 2 or 3. There's Nina's storyline, there is Nikolai's and Zoya's, and then there is some stuff happening in Ravka at the end that Nikolai and Zoya are not in. But there are technically 3 storylines going on. So in the beginning, it was harder for me to enjoy it because I was like, just as I was getting into one storyline, we switched, and that happens sometimes with me. But I really enjoyed it at the end of the day. So that's all that matters. I absolutely loved Nikolai in the original Shadow and Bone series, but I did not like Zoya because I thought she was extremely rude to Alina, and the others, she just had a more rough exterior. But in this book, I really connected with her, especially after watching the TV show. Sujaya Dasgupta does such a good job of playing her, and I really connected with the character even more knowing who plays her, because I could visualize her as the character when I was reading. And like, I also related with Zoya a lot more in this book, with her hiding how she truly feels from the world, and some of the way, and like how she somewhat feels like she can't be loved or she can't love. I kind of relate with that feeling, like the way she closes herself off to the world. I get that. But she really, really becomes such a key part of my, I think she's one of my favorite characters now with how relatable she is. I think she's one of the characters I relate with most because of her personality, because frankly of her background even. I relate with Zoya. And I just loved her in this book. So without further ado, we're gonna get into the spoilery part, starting with Nina's storyline. So Nina is on a mission in Fierda with Adric and Leonie. Adric is from the Shadow and Bone series. He is Nadia's younger brother who decides to stay back while all the others are sent away to Kresemen. So he remains in the little palace and like goes on the mission with them, and he loses his arm fighting with against the Darkling when they were attacked by the Darkling in Shadow and Bone. And we get to see him again, and he basically is the leader of this little 3-person group. And then Leonie. I didn't connect it for the longest time. Leonie is the girl that Aditi, Jasper's mother, saved and then died saving. And you know the sweetest part? Leonie took Aditi's last name. And like, she uses Aditi's last name because Aditi saved her life. And it's just it's the sweetest thing. And like Aditi absorbed too much poison into her body while trying to save Leonie. Leonie also does that accidentally while trying to deal with like the poison in the river. And it just was too close to repeating history for me. Anyway, so their goal is to help the Grisha in Fierda escape to Ravka and have them join the Second Army, because the Second Army needs rebuilding, but like they're just saving the Grisha at the end of the day. And they decide they kind of get caught, and then they go into this place where they live in this thing that seemed more like what's it called? In my head, the word ashram comes to mind, but I can't remember what it's called, but it's like a holy place where all these sisters and well mother live, and they, I think, are kind of like they pray to Dijal. I think that's how it's pronounced. And they meet Hannah, And Hannah is basically one of the people, Noviets living there, who are there so they can be trained to be proper women, so they can get married, and blah, blah, blah. Things that piss me off. Anyway, so Hannah is not satisfied with the way Fjerda treats its women. She is a free spirit. Her father basically raised her like he would have a son until he wanted her to be a daughter so she could get married and be soft, and then sent her away so she could get trained to be softer. And it's just she's so stifled by society's expectations, and she is stifled by the fact that she's a Grisha who can't use her powers in Fjerda. And the most ironic thing is, she's Jarl Brum's daughter, and he loves her. It's clear he loves her, but she's his daughter. And it was fucking amazing to see Nina train her, because Nina got to use her own Heartrender experience to train her to find her power. And at the end, they'd realize that the Fjerdan government or whatever is basically keeping women in this factory. Grisha women, they're kidnapping these women, impregnating them, and then kind of drugging them with Jordapurim, their version of it. And it's just so fucking disgusting. And Nina, Adric, and Leonie, along with Hannah, managed to help them escape. And that was such an epic scene with the dam bursting and Adric using his powers to make it go the other way, and him realizing Nina did it on purpose, and how it created a whole all these people that helped them escape. Basically, in their head now, they look at Adric and Leonie as saints, and that belief in them helps them kind of get out of it. They see all these women they'd been keeping in the factory imprisoned, all these women from their own villages, they recognize them, and it's just so fucking painful and also just extremely powerful. I will say Nina's actions in this book were very Kaz-like. The way she doesn't tell anyone what she's doing, she has a plan for everything. That was very Kaz-like. And at the end, she decides to stay in Fjerda with Hannah, while Adric and Leonie take all of these people they saved back to Ravka and try to change the course of Fjerda from Fjerda. And she goes into Jarl Brum's house with Leonie and stays there. I have a feeling that he's gonna make some very disgusting moves on Nina next book. Anyway, one last thing I want to talk about Nina's storyline. Trassel. When Nina is getting attacked by these wolves, the Grisha hating wolves, Trassel comes and tries to save her, and that was just... I want him back. I want him and Nina together at the end of this series. I don't care. I just want them together. That could be the piece of Matthias that remains with her. This entire book, I really struggled with Matthias being gone, and I can definitely see how Nina and Hannah could potentially be a thing, but I just can't deal with Matthias being gone. You could feel her pain leap off the pages. The conversations she would have with Matthias in this story, they were just... It was so beautiful. Those scenes were beautiful. Anyway, so let's talk about Nikolai and Zoya now. So Nikolai is a monster, has been making more appearances lately. At the end of Shadow and Bone, the Sun Summoners basically managed to get rid of it, but it was only temporary and it started returning. And Ravka as well isn't doing too well. It is in debt to Kirch, and the Kirch want help with this technology that Ravka created that can attack ships from underwater, and it's just devastating, and they want to do it so they can attack Novi Zem, who are making progress and can now trade, and that will kind of cut off some of Ravka's supplies. They don't need Ravka to trade anymore. Sorry, not Ravka, Kirch. They don't need the Kirch to trade anymore, and they're being more independent, and they don't like that because that's their source of money. So they don't want them, so they want to attack them. And Novi Zem is an ally of Ravka, so they don't want to betray them too. So they have to come up with a plan to please both sides. And then there is the constant attacks from Fear that in the shoe. There are constant claims to the throne of someone being more like rightful heir to the Landsov throne rather than Nikolai, who is a bastard, which we do get confirmed. Nikolai's father is a Fearden something. And at the end, when we find out that Nikolai's father is one of the people helping the claim that Nikolai isn't the rightful heir to the Landsov throne, I was so fucking pissed. He has letters from Nikolai's mother claiming that he's actually his son. That man is... he should have killed that man a long time ago. Anyway, back to the story. So in order to deal with everything that's going on in Ravka, they decide to throw a party. And using that party as an opportunity also to find Nikolai's bride, because Ravka needs an heir and Nikolai needs a partner. Also, amongst all of this happening, Yuri shows up. And Yuri is a priest or something like that. He's a very devout follower of the Starless Saint, and he wants the Starless Saint officially recognized. And he also tells the story about these like warriors who used to transform into these creatures. So in learning that story, the twins, Tolya and Tamar, Nikolai and Zoya, along with Yuri, go to find that area. And there they're kind of attacked by the saints, which the saints Elizaveta, Juris, and Gregory. Yeah. They're attacked by them. And they find out that there is a way to get rid of it, and they have to put a thornwood through Nikolai as when he is the monster. And then that is when this book really got interesting for me. I loved those under the fold scenes. The training Zoya had with Juris, the bond they created, was fantastic. I loved seeing her have that mentor who respected her and treated her without malice like the Darkling did. And I loved the fact that she had that, and just her opening up, her talking about how her aunt was killed by the Darkling's expansion of the fold. That made so much sense. Why that was such a powerful that was such a powerful scene. And then her recounting her past, where she was basically sold to a 60-plus-year-old guy when she was just 9 years old. Heartbreaking. And how her aunt was the only one that fought for her and got her saved from there, because when the guy she was supposed to marry, the old bat she was supposed to marry, attacked her aunt, her powers came through and she kind of blew him away. And then they ran away so she could go to the little palace. And she legally made her aunt her guardian, so her aunt would get the stipend from the government instead of her mother, who sold her. And then at the end, Elizaveta, selfish Elizaveta, betrayed them all because she swallowed the Darkling. She controls the fold, so she basically took the Darkling's body away before anyone could do it and put a fake thing there and saved the Darkling, basically. And in doing so, her plan was to kill everyone else that was there, to kill Gregory and Juris and escape. Because Juris and Gregory wanted to escape the fold, yes, but they knew the only way to do that would be to give up their powers, and she was not willing to do that. So she concocted this whole thing, and while she did lose at the end, the Darkling was resurrected in Yuri's body. And that is going to be so interesting to see what happens in the next book. And then one more thing I want to talk about before we end this video is what was happening in Ravka while Nikolai and Zoya were away. So because they kind of disappeared, Talia and Tamar came back and told them that like they didn't know where they were. Isaac, one of the soldiers, takes over and he's tailored to look like Nikolai, and he does a pretty decent job of imitating Nikolai. But he falls in love with the princess, or the shoe princess, or the person pretending to be the shoe princess. The shoe also do the same thing where they do a switcheroo and have someone impersonate the princess and kill Nikolai or Isaac, and Nikolai watches this whole thing. It's just oof. And at the end, Nikolai announces him and the actual shoe princess are going to be getting engaged. So she doesn't like. She's like, would you rather be engaged to me, or would you rather be punished for what you all just did? And yeah, we will see how this goes. I am really excited to see how the Darkling plays a role. Like I didn't expect the Darkling to make an appearance in this series. I didn't. I thought like his story was over in Shadow and Bone. So it's interesting. I'm excited to see how this is going to go, and hopefully it's interesting. Anyway, see you guys later. Have a good day.